insurance? Oh, hours.
I think a couple of minutes won't hurt anything.
How are you, David?
I'm tired. I want to go to bed. But I can't until at least after 10 tonight.
Do you have more meetings after this one?
I don't, but I have to wait for other people to cover the meetings, send me their stories. So, yeah. That's the thing about like night meetings. They could go long, they could go short, and people have to write them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was surprised I got it done in time yesterday.
Last night's meeting wasn't too bad.
No. But I had redevelopment before that, and my future store had right, and, you know, one thing on top of the other.
John, what the hell is McAllister Rental? What is that? I just don't remember.
I was gonna write more about what you
I
said.
don't remember either. I would say
Yeah.
it's a piece of equipment they've rented.
What can I make into bullets?
I don't know what for.
Hi, Robert. Hi, Mary.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Doing well.
All good.
They take consulting too.
I was telling the guys it's on me, but Kelsey had her baby, and so I'm trying to do her job and mine all at the same time, and so I did not get the minutes or some of that stuff done. So tonight's meeting should hopefully be pretty quick.
I know our portion will be relatively quick. There's no board action by us, so.
That's good. After last month's meeting, I think we're due for a little relatively shorter one.
Yeah. You mean Linda's not on call?
What's that?
But Linda's not on call?
She's on vacation this
Oh.
week, so she helped me out last week in getting all the, because last week was month end, so we had to close all the books and send out all the invoices, and so she helped me get all of that done last week, and we just didn't have enough time to get everything else for the board done before she left, so I scrambled around and tried to get it through, and it is what it is this month, so
Oh, wow.
that's on me, I apologize.
We'll survive. See, I knew that.
That's close enough.
We waited for you.
I found out, I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
My life insurance policy, there's no beneficiary listed.
Well,
So
hopefully you got it fixed.
I have to fix it, but at least we can get it taken care of.
Oh, good.
You gave him my name right, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need your name, social security number, mailing address, date of birth, and I'll take care of it, David.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it is time, so.
Yep.
I'll call this July meeting of the Board of Aviation Commissioners for our City of Warsaw to order. We are all present as far as board members, and Nick, guest David, and our ladies are not present. So first order of business is the approval of minutes.
And that's, I don't have the minutes done. Kelsey had her baby, and so I was doing her job and mine, so I apologize. We'll have those at next month's meeting for your approval. I could
Okay.
not log into her computer to print them. So I apologize, Dan.
Okay.
But the claims are on the back.
Claims are there, okay.
Yep. So the big ones to note, McAllister rental for $2,569.17. That was for renting a roller. We had used the street department's roller at the beginning of the year, but then they started their paving with the asphalt that they
Yeah.
do, and we were still fixing some of the berms at the airport, so we rented a roller for a few weeks to get that project across the finish line. Bobcat of Warsaw, that was some equipment that we were trading in. When we
Is that a final bill?
Correct. Yep. So there was a piece of equipment that we had with our old skid steer that we traded in for the newer Bobcat that was no longer compatible with the new piece of equipment, and so we traded in some of the old equipment to bring that cost down. So
Okay.
the actual piece of equipment I think was 12 or 12.5, and then we wound up paying about 58, just shy of 5,800 for that.
What was that piece of equipment?
It is a fully motion power rake. So it's from the cab. The guys, power rake is what we use on the side of the runways to clean up all of the damage to the dirt and the berms that we do from plowing throughout the winter. So as we're plowing, sometimes the plows will hit the grass and the dirt on the side of the runways and taxiways. And that can create, or if we drive off the end of the runways and taxiways to push the snow back, we'll create ruts. And so we use that power rake to come in, and it basically is like a big rototiller that'll make everything flat again, and then we reseed it in the spring. And that was just one of those things we needed to get updated.
Good if your airplane ever goes off the runway.
Exactly. The other big one is the Stantec Consulting for $25,148.77. That's just continued ongoing monitoring of that fuel release with IDEM. Good news is we are optimistic that we are finished with the initial site characterization. We have not found, we actually believe we were able to remove all of the fuel that was spilled. We're not seeing any more in any of our testing. So what the plan that we had together worked by going in and actually digging out the soil. It didn't make it down to the groundwater. Once the ISC is complete, the ISC is the initial site characterization, we can move on to our full remediation, which is basically going to mean the wells that we have installed to make sure that no fuel did make it to the groundwater will stay in place for so many months, so many years, whatever IDEM says. And we're going to pull random samplings to make sure that there isn't any more fuel. We haven't seen fuel in 8 or 10 months, which means what we did worked. We just have to continue on to make sure that there's not something residual that we missed.
How long are they gonna make us pay for this?
Well, luckily, we're not paying for it. It's part of this contract that that's what this contract was. You guys approved it a couple months ago. And we just started down the reimbursement process, and we should be getting all but about 10 or 12,000 of our initial, of everything that we have paid so far for this project back from that ELTF fund that we pay into
That's a
every year.
state fund.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't have those numbers yet. We're still waiting from IDEM. We have submitted everything we need to submit, so we're good on our part. We're just waiting for them to review and get back to us. So that's where we're at on that project. Other than that, unless you guys have a specific question, that's what I've got for claims tonight. And then we have the camp software for $595. And then positive news, we sold a lot of Jet A last month. We actually had 3 loads of Jet A last month. So we're seeing some increases on that, which is great. So to Ascent Aviation, we have a claim for $60,332.11.
Did we not just pay a bill to camp?
That's a monthly bill.
That's a monthly bill?
That's for our total FBO software. So that's the accounting and the tracking of all of our fuel sales and everything else. And believe it or not, it's one of the cheaper ones on the market. We've looked.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval of claims?
I make a motion to approve the claims as presented, especially Ascent Aviation for $60,332.11 and Camp Software for $595.
Second?
Second by John. Who's keeping notes?
I am.
He's doing double duty again.
Okay, any further questions?
No.
Okay, hearing none, call for a vote on the motion. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Nay? None, okay. Okay, our one visitor is David Sloan today. Oh, hello, David. Hello. Do you have any questions at this point?
Not yet, I hope there's something to ask me.
Okay. All right, so we have the engineer's report. Do you?
Is that
see
Mary?
on, or do you want to?
Yeah, I have my screen shared. So first up is runway 27 obstruction mitigation. So we have submitted all of the invoices and grant closeout paperwork to the FAA. So that was all submitted back on June 30th. They do have a review period for that, so I don't want to take it off the list just yet in case they come back with anything, but in a couple months we'll be able to take this off the list and count it good.
Great.
And next up is the improve runway 927 safety area for the program definition. We have incorporated the final comments, and we're just doing one final internal
For those of you
review,
on too, we
and we'll be
signed, I
submitting
believe.
that to the FAA by the end of July. So, and we do not have any invoices on for board action this month, just with the holiday weekend right before this. I just wasn't able to get everything in place for that. So we'll just move those all to next month's meeting. So just FYI, this is an easy month, but next month will be a little bit longer. No update on the wildlife hazard site visit. We're still waiting for FAA's review and comment. For taxi lane E1, we did get with Findon Brown about the low spot that we discussed last month, and they're going to be getting some survey shots out there. And they're going to propose a repair method for us and for the airport to review. So we'll let you know once we hear more about that repair. For Taxway Bravo, the grant application for construction phase services was sent to the FAA on June 26th. We actually did get a couple questions from Victor with the FAA today, and we already responded to that. So we'll see. Normally, with discretionary funds, it may not be until September that we get a grant in place for that. So we'll let you know once we have more information.
Real quick, Mary, I didn't get to say it in time for the taxi lane E1. If you guys get a chance to go out and see that, just drive by. It's the taxi lane right in front of the Dells there, and just see how good it looks. The striping was done last week, and the company that came out looks really, really good. The asphalt, there's that one little spot that we're gonna work with Fenn and Brown on to get fixed, but the rest of that taxi lane it'll serve us for a long time to come. So we're very, very happy with it.
Very good.
Where did that low spot fall?
It was right next to the joint off the main taxi lane where it branches off to the east in front of Imager right there. It looks like it just was hit with the vibratory roller maybe one or two too many times, and there's a little bit of a sinkage right there, and it's holding water.
So it's in front of Imagers.
It's right where that turnoff is to go over to them. So it's closer to the joint between the two asphalts. I might have a photo of it, Dan. Keep going, Mary. If I find it, I'll share it with the group.
Okay. No update for task order 9. for task order 10 for the airport overlay district. We've revised the ADO for the comments from the city and the county, and the revisions to the ADO to meet their requirements. And then next we will work with the city and county zoning boards to get their approval for it.
And the other thing, the city planner and the city attorney have asked that a aviation-specific attorney go over the AOD and make sure that it fits within what the airport needs to protect, but also fits within the city's current zoning and ordinance structure. And so we've reached out to Don Tribbett, who we used for the airport authority. He's one of the few aviation specific attorneys in the state, and he has agreed to review that for us. And the planning department is going to cover that cost. It's just a few $100s, but they are going to cover the cost of that review. Because he's not writing the actual document, it's not a huge expense. So the planning department is going to cover that.
He's
So-
out of Indianapolis,
Logansport.
Logansport.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I
So
remember,
he's,
yeah.
he's working on that right now, and then I believe he's gonna come up and meet with our planning director, the county's planning director, probably the city attorney and myself, and we're just gonna make sure that, and then obviously CHA will be there, and we're gonna compare all those notes and make sure one final thumbs up from everybody, and then we'll start with this board to make sure you are all comfortable with the language and the protections and what we're planning to do. Once we have your thumbs up, then we'll start the process with the city zoning board, then we'll go to the county zoning board, and then once everybody is happy, it will have to be adopted as ordinance, so we'll have to go back to city council and county council. So a lot of running around for us, but that's good. We've got a very clear path forward, and I'm still hopeful we can get this across the finish line by the end of this year. Any questions on that? Sorry to take over on that one, Mary.
That's fine.
All right.
So next up is runway 927. So we're working with Finn Brown to set up a pre-construction meeting. We're looking at dates for end of this week and into next week. And then right now we have an anticipated notice to proceed. Excuse me, I'm reading ahead. For July 21st, but we'll talk about that more at the pre-con. At the pre-con, we will also be having a pre-pave meeting at the same time. So we'll kind of kill two birds with one stone with all of that. So, and then we anticipate, approximately towards the end of August for that substantial completion. Obviously, it's determined on when we start, so. Any questions on that?
None for you. Did we hear from any of the commission?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Next up is Taxway Alpha, basis of design. We submitted the grant application to the FAA on June 11th. And we have not received anything back from them. If you remember, this is, we were using some of the expiring IIJA or bill funds for this project. So we could receive those funds sooner than September, when we normally see more of the discretionary dollars get released. But we'll see it. It may be August. We'll see how much earlier it is, but hopefully it's a little bit earlier than that, so. Any questions on tax rail?
Nope.
I don't. Steve,
All
do
right.
you have any?
That's
No. All right. No
all we
questions.
have.
All right, thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay. Yes,
That's all I've got.
I know we don't have the printed fuel report, so.
I will have the full update for you next month, but I was saying while you were outside, it was a really good fuel month. We had 3 loads of Jet A come in. The other thing that we're actually in the middle of working on right now, I'll let the board know, so Sugar Air is really taking off, pun intended. They are the crop dusting company that we worked with last summer. And that pricing has worked so well, several other area farmers are actually using them now because the cost savings of not having to fly in from other airports and being based out of Warsaw. And so, last year we sold them between 26 and 27,000 gallons of fuel in their about 4.5 week window. And we could potentially triple that or more this year, they're telling us, because of the extra contracts. And so it's helping the airport, we're selling more fuel. But the other big thing is it's also helping our local ag community because it's lowering the cost of the application rate per acre so much that they're able to do more with that.
Good.
Which in turn means we sell more fuel, so it's kind of a symbiotic, it helps them, it helps us, and it'll be a great partnership moving forward, so.
Good.
Any other questions for me this month?
No.
Nope.
The fuel.
We
fueling.
are still working on it. We got another quote, it was close to $165,000. So we are still in pursuit. It is still top on my priority list. It's something we really want to get across the finish line. It's just, I'm having a really hard time when we had budget numbers of 70 or 75,000 last year, and this year, I just don't see where the cost, when I talk to the actual companies that provide the product, and they're telling us their prices didn't go up more than 5 or 6% from year to year, and the only cost increase is labor. Why is labor going up over 100%?
Shouldn't.
It doesn't make sense. And so we're still looking at that, and we may have to shift gears and look at a different opportunity, but I don't think that it is fiscally responsible to be spending $170,000, $180,000
No.
on that right now. So it's still on the top of our list. It's just taking a little bit longer than we had originally anticipated.
Do we have any idea of how much gallonage we'd sell through that system?
Nope. I've run those numbers with World Fuel, and we could see a $7,000 to $10,000 a year increase, or a 7 to 10,000 gallon a year increase. We could see a 7 to 10,000 gallon a month increase. We just have no way of knowing that.
Do you
I
have an
will say-
opinion on that?
I mean, it's guesswork because you get a lot of factors.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a lot of transients using it,
Yep.
so how many transients you gonna get in? And if the prices are cheaper here than they are other places, you can get more transients because they can get it when they want it.
Yep.
So they could potentially.
Yep.
I know it's too early to say with definite, but if we have a self-fueling station like that, would we still do the fueling off the tanker
We-
like on field?
We would, yeah.
Would there be a difference in price between the two?
Yep.
Okay.
The
Which
other.
would be less?
Most likely the self-service would be less because we don't have to go start the truck. But as it stands right now, so the original plan with this, if when we got our original cost estimates, it was gonna be between $75,000 and $90,000 to put in this whole system.
Right.
Of that cost, 20 or 25,000 was gonna be the tank. We were doing this as a temporary until we replaced the UST fuel farm. So we have an underground storage tank fuel farm. We have 2 jet tanks, we have 1 avgas tank. We would like to move to an above ground storage tank. Maintenance is infinitely easier, insurance is cheaper. You don't have the potential of in-ground fuel releases that you can't see. There's a multitude of reasons where it is better for airports to have ASTs than USTs. Gas stations can't. Gas stations can't have all these big
Right.
tanks that people could potentially run into. We have open space that we can do this. The idea behind this self-serve station was we could have utilized that tank and reutilized it as a defuel tank. That is something, we don't get asked very often, but it's a huge liability for the airport if we pull fuel off of a customer's aircraft and we put it back into our fuel truck. Because if there's any microbes or any other, there's organisms that live in jet fuel and feed off of it. And if we contaminate our fuel system with that fuel that we pull off of a customer's aircraft, it could cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean the fuel system. Having a separate tank that we could put that discarded fuel, and then, you know, there's people around that will buy that still and put it in, you know, all oil heaters. There's ways we could get rid of that product. Then replace that 1,000 to 2,000 gallon tank with an above ground 10,000 gallon tank. Because a load of avgas is typically 8,000 to 8,500 gallons. So if we leave that 10%, give or take, of 1,000 to 1,500 gallons, if when we get to that, we order a load of fuel, all the rest of the equipment is the same, the filter vessel, the reel, and so then that would become our avgas storage tank. And that was the whole plan behind this, was so that we're not wasting all of this money. Now, if we're spending an extra $100,000 on that, that puts us closer to the $200,000 to $225,000 installed, because we still have to run electric, we still have to run data and get everything out there. Well, putting in a 10,000 gallon tank standalone is $500,000. At what point do we say, you know, we have to be fiscally conservative on that? And that's why we're still looking for alternate solutions on that. So I'm hopeful. We've talked to a couple of companies that can get us the product now at a very affordable rate, the tank, the filters, everything that we need. Now we just need to find a company that's willing to give us a fair price to come in and install the actual product. So that's why this is taking longer.
Opportunity to branch out.
But it's frustrating because if you have the tank and you have the pump and filters and the ATM machine, it couldn't take two guys more than a week to put it together.
I don't think it'd take that long.
I don't either, but I'm being generous.
And the big the big issue is it's avgas, which 100 low lead, and the amount of licenses, state releases, state permits, everything else that we have to do through IDEM. I think that avenue, there's just not many companies that do it. So we're still working on it.
Another license to steal.
Yeah. Any other questions?
You?
All right.
Last month, we were talking about a hangar sale or whatever. Did that get taken care of? Or maybe it was the month before.
Yeah.
I wasn't here last month.
Yep, that got taken care of.
Okay.
We bought the hangar then, yep. Okay. Ready to adjourn?
Well, are there any other questions from board members?
Nope.
I'll ask David if he has any.
No, I think it's self-explanatory.
Okay, when will our next meeting be?
It will be August the 12th.
August 12th, here at 5:15.
Yep.
All right. Then I will officially adjourn this meeting.
All right. Thanks, CHA.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks to Eugene.